Roger's not the greatest horseman, and they weren't getting on well together. And he comes in on this scene on this horse, and he's in full armour, and he falls off the horse backwards onto his back, and he's laying there, bosh, he's on the floor. And she said, cut, they said, cut. And she said, I hope the...
So Jess, thank you for letting us interview you again. Why did you say yes?
Why did I say yes? Well, I suppose it's because I love to see myself on the screen, and I have many fans out there that don't see me often enough sometimes. You know, people say, you know, I'm old enough now to retire, but people still find me irresistible. And, well, there's nothing wrong with their eyesight, I guess. It sounds like a big-headed then, but it's all done with a sense of humour, and that's the way I see this business, you know. I've been at it a long time, and you're a young man who wants to get ahead in the world, and you wanted to interview me, so why not?
I wasn't going to turn down the offer. I wasn't going to turn it down.
And you wanted to come to my lovely house, which I bought for £800. I mean, that's amazing.
800? I thought it was 8,000. 800. That's even better.
Yeah. Now it's worth £1 million. But
I'll give you £1,000 for it. I'll give you 1,000. 2,000 if you really beg. If you really clean it up.
I know it really is silly, but in those days, you know, these were the days when you could. We had proper bank managers, you know, and I could go. My bank was in Piccadilly Circus. Can you imagine going to Piccadilly Circus, parking the car, quite casually, walking in, hello, Mr. Conrad, lovely to see you, dear boy. Speaking to a proper, and he said, you've got a lot of money here. I just won the equivalent of the X Factor 1961, a show called Oh Boy.
So how much did you win, and what's the equivalent of like today's money?
I've no idea. All I know is that I had lots of money.
You had lots of money?
Apparently. I mean, you know, and so I said, well, what do you think I should do with it? He said, well, bricks and mortar's a good thing. And I thought, my God, he wants me to go up and down the ladder with bricks on my back. I said, well, I'm not a very good builder, I said, and I don't fancy taking bricks up. And he said, no, you know, property. So I was courting then Miss Camay. You look a little lovelier each day with beautiful pink Camay. I saw on this television commercial, all soaped up. I was sharing a flat at the time, Michael Caine and Terry Stamp. And we used to date these girls, and we were thinking of getting married, and and you couldn't be married then. In my day, you couldn't be married if you were a pop star.
So I thought it was the reverse. I thought it went in your favour back in the old days. If you got married, I thought people looked on that more kindly than they do now.
No, they look upon it as if you lose your fan base, and you couldn't be gay either. Now it's obligatory, of course. Almost. A lot of my actor friends pretend they're gay and they're not, just to get more work.
Who pretends that they're gay?
Well, lots of guys do apparently, but you know. But I mean, it was so different then, and you couldn't be married because the agencies wouldn't want you. I had a woman agent, and no, it was well known. You couldn't be married and be a pop star or teen idol, as they called us then. You know, you just couldn't be that. And I was thinking of getting married to Miss Camay, and I thought, well, what are we going to do? So she found this house here, and because the bank manager said, you know, buy a house, and she found this house for £8, and it was really in the country here, and this is where I wanted to live, because it's in Denham, in Buckinghamshire, Pinewood Studios, Denham Studios, Shepperton Studios. Over the years, all the stars lived here, Dirk Bogarde, everybody. I mean, Roger was my dear friend, Roger Moore. Cilla Black was two doors up.
I can't even imagine having those kind of people as neighbours. How did it work? Did you ever kind of pop over, you know, just kind of pretending you needed sugar just to see him? Or how did you have him over for tea? How did that work?
You're speaking like a lorry driver.
A lorry driver?
Yeah, I didn't know. You're invited to go to dinner, and I went to dinner many times, and one time I was there, and a very famous actress was playing Neasy with me, because there's a big table, and Louisa Roger's wife was she protected him, you know. And this famous actress left her handbag there, and she said to Louisa, would you ask Jess Conrad to bring the handbag back to my house Tuesday, 11:30 in the morning. She was very famous, I won't tell you who she is. And I took the handbag back to her muse, and she opened the door and she was in negligee and everything and ready for action. Those are the sort of experiences that you did. And then Louisa rang my wife, Renee, and said, well, would we like the table? Would we like to have this big oak table? So we said yes. It was a bit too big really, but yes, okay, it's Roger Moore's table and it's a lovely table. And so the next time we go for dinner there, we are dining on this huge glass top table. And I said, Louisa, why the glass top table? She said, I want to see who is playing Neasy with who, because she was so jealous that somebody might be playing Neasy with Roger, as she called him. So yeah, we had great times up there. Robert Wagner, who was Natalie Wood's husband, and I was very excited about meeting him because he's a great-looking guy, and I wanted to see how I stood up to him, you know. And when I met him, he was about your size. He was like quite small in height, and he had a beard like you as well. And she was having a baby, so he wanted to be in harmony with her, so he put on a bit of weight, you know. So there this fellow was, not as tall as me, bearded and a bit heavy. So I befriended him, you know. Yeah, hello, I'm Jess. You know, we had a good time. We had plenty of champagne, and I'm walking around the room with him, thinking all the producers are going to say, never mind Robert Wagner, but who's that fellow with him? But of course, I never took any notice. But you know, that's you know, you get these things in your head, don't you? That the people are going to notice you and say, you know, who's he? Never mind about. And those are the days when you had to get a card to work in America, you know. So I was interested in that. And Roger rang one night and said, "Dear boys," said, "we're having a soiree." And I said, "Who's coming?" You know, it's terrible, isn't it? I said, "What's the cast list?" And he said, "David Niven." So I read the book Moon is Blue, so that David Niven was going to be one of the stars there. And I read the book Moon is Blue, you know, the very, very funny book, fantastic writer, real show business, really funny. I thought, well, if he's there, I can talk about that, you know. And so we go up there. It's only 3 or 4 doors away from here, and it was raining heavily. And so I rang the bell, and my wife had the umbrella up so I wouldn't get wet. And as I rang the bell, Roger's on his way, and then she puts the colour blur in my eyes because I wanted to be really sparkly, you know. And Roger opened the door, and he was really casual, and Esme overdressed as usual, you know. You know, and there he was, really, and this lovely voice, "Hello, dear boy, how are you?" I felt like Quasimodo. Oh,
he's just got the best
voice. He's just got everything.
Yeah.
And then I walked in, and he said, "Oh, I'd like you to meet." There was just one person there, the big Rolls Royce outside, but there was just one person sitting in there. And he said, "I'd like you to meet Gregory Peck." And this guy stood up, and you're probably too young to remember, one of the biggest movie stars in the world. And he got up, and I could see these eyebrows, big eyebrows, and they went past my eyeline, and they never stopped going up, going up, going up. And then he stopped. And like all Americans, he put his hand out and says, "Hi, Jess, I've heard all about you." And it's Gregory Peck. I come from Brixton. I mean, I've met stars, but Gregory Peck, he was in all the movies I used to watch when I was 12 years old. I mean, Gregory Peck.
Jesus. And
I'm standing there, and he's got his hand out to shake my hand, and you know when the saliva goes.
Yeah.
It's great. And this arm wouldn't move. Gregory Peck.
So you were starstruck? You were properly...
completely and utterly starstruck. And this arm wouldn't move, and Gregory Peck's got his hand out to shake my hand. And Roger had a waiter there that knew what I drank and came over a Bacardi and Coke and stuck it in my hand. And then I was, you know, got over that moment. about 3 o'clock in the morning, I remember Gregory saying to Roger, who was that? Oh, we had some great parties, really. And Roger was a wonderful guy. He was made all the Bond films here, 10 minutes up the road, Primary Studios. And we had some horses, and we got acre and a half, not quite big enough to have horses, ponies and things. So Roger said, and Louisa, his wife, said, they can stay at our place, eat the grass up there instead of here, because there's more grass up there in his place. So we're very friendly, and they went to the same school, my girls and his boy and girl. And I'm an out-of-work actor at the time, and there's a knock on the door. And
what year is this? What year?
Oh, I don't know, what was it? Whatever it was. I don't work well, it's when Roger was doing the films, his Bond films. And this particular one was about the submarine thing, because he got me a part in it. Louisa said, oh, you must find Jess a part. So he goes in to the casting director. He says, sorry to bother you, dear boy, but I've got a dear friend, Jess Conrad. You know who Jess is. Everybody knows who Jess is. Nice looking boy. He said, find a part for him. So they found me a part of the submarine commander. 1 day's work. So he goes home. Louise says, Roger, have you got Jessie a part? Oh, God, yes, darling, I have, yes. I've got him part as a submarine commander. So Lisa rings my wife. You've got a part. What date? Gives me the date. At the time, at that particular time, I just started playing. I was the first Joseph, and Joseph in his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And Bill Kenwright, the producer, wouldn't let me have the afternoon off. Bugger. I do.
So you
love
couldn't
him.
do the Bond film because he said you couldn't.
So I couldn't do the Bond film.
Oh.
So a friend of mine did it. A friend of mine, I put my friend in called Brian Marshall. Roger, although he was a great guy, he wasn't the healthiest of men in many ways, and he got shingles. He had shingles for a month, so my friend worked for a month instead of 1 day, earned a bloody fortune while they waited for Roger to recover from shingles. So that's that, isn't it?
Well, that is that.
But he was anyway. So he knocks on the door. I'm in bed on this particular day, and he goes, "Are the Conrads ready?" Instead of the chauffeur coming to the door, he used to come to the door, and he thought it was very funny because he was James Bond, one of the most famous people in the world.
Yeah, yeah.
And there he is pretending to be, like the humble man who gets the children to go to school.
Yeah.
Are the Conrads ready? Oh, Roger's here, because they were young. They didn't see him as anything special than Roger the neighbour.
Yeah.
So he used to collect them and drop them off to school, and then he used to go off to Pinewood to start shooting. He probably had a deal that he didn't start till 9:30 in the morning or something, but every morning he picked them up. Every morning it was, hello, are the Conrads ready for school? It was a great endearing thing to do. I suppose my dear friend Jess is in bed, is he? Are you taking him up his coffee? Is he wearing his white robe? As all that goes on, He was making a film with Lana Turner, who was a really big star before you were born, but she was really big, like big, Monroe. And they were making this film, and Knights in Shining Armour. Roger's not the greatest horseman, and they weren't getting on well together. And he comes in on this scene, on this horse, and he's in full armour. And he falls off the horse backwards onto his back, and he's laying there, bosh, he's on the floor. And she said, cut, they said, cut. And she said, I hope the you'll have to bleep that out.
Keeping that in.
And it was so funny, because you don't always love the ladies you're kissing on the screen. I mean, we all have times when things don't really click. It's nice if they do, and usually they do, but sometimes they don't.
Did you have to kiss any rotters on the screen, like any real proper like?
Yeah, but I've had a few moments. Yeah, I've had a few moments. I mean, crazy moments, of course. Once when I was playing, not kissing girls, but once when I was playing Robin Hood, and I had to kill the sheriff, my sword broke. And what happened next was hilarious, because I'd just given this boy sitting in the front row 3 pages before a bag of sweets. Now, this is like always be prepared. My sword breaks and I'm thinking to myself, what am I going to do now? Do I strangle him? I've got to kill the Sheriff of Nottingham. And I just said in a loud voice, I've broken my sword, boys and girls, what shall I do? And this boy I'd just given a bloody bag of sweets to said, sing to him. And not only that, but all the audience agreed, and they all said, yes, sing to him. And it was a moment of laughter and rounds of applause, you know. I thought, you little bug, I've just given you a bag of sweets. No, all sorts of things do happen in this business that you have to always be aware of. Actors always say that you must always check your flies, because the last thing you do in the theatre is you get ready, you put your 5 and 9 on, your makeup, everything is ready, wash your hands, but because the way men dress, it's always dangerous, because we do, even I'm talking like a young Jess, you don't zip your flies up. And I've been on a few times and I've looked down and the flies are undone. I've had to look upstage and go zoom, do the thing.
Well, this is why I never wear pants with an open pocket. I always go over the pants if I need to go to the loo. Because I'm worried if I don't zip up, something's going to slip out.
I bet the viewers love that from you, don't they? They're so interested in that.
Might enjoy that, but not sure if they will. I don't think they will at all.
Oh dear. This is so... Oh, this doesn't even happen in panto to the villain. I was so upset, I thought this was so bloody stupid.